Hey guys, hi. I'm here. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Woohoo! Hey Jenny, hey Melissa. Hey Tanya. Hey Ari, so glad you guys could make it. How are you guys all doing today? I can't believe it's almost October, which means that the holidays are going to start soon. And hopefully that's a good season for all of you guys. I know for sure with Tiny Hands, we're going to be super busy. Hey Emily, hi. Welcome. Ari. Okay, cool. So hopefully I'll answer most of those questions in the workshop today, but if not, there's the Q&A at the end too. So you can have your questions submitted to the question box under here, I think, on the right side. I don't know if this is like a mirror image or not, so that's why I'm like, is it here or is it here? I'm not sure. Hey, Emily. Hey, April. Michaela, oh my goodness, you're here. It's been a while. How was your vacation? Well, I'm glad you guys are all here. All right, so it's 1 p.m. here in Minneapolis. So I'm gonna get started. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen. So I've got like a presentation set up for you guys so you can listen to me talk and also watch, like look at the text that I have. I think that's gonna be helpful. And then at the Q&A at the end, I'll bring my face back, okay? Sound good? So let's see. Share my screen. Oh, hold on. Ah! Okay. Are you seeing my screen, guys? Just want to double check. Okay. Okay, I think you should be. All right, so let's get started. Welcome to the workshop today on how to use email marketing as a system for new and repeat sales in your handmade business. Before we get started, I want to touch on some ground rules. If you've ever been to a webinar or workshop like this before, you'll know that there's a 30-second delay between my interaction with you. So if you're talking stuff in the chat box and if you're asking me questions, then it just takes 30 seconds for me to, or if I'm asking you questions, it takes you 30 seconds to get to see or hear what I'm saying, right? So the second thing is there are two boxes at the bottom of this video. The first box on the left-hand side is the chat box, so please feel free to introduce yourself if you haven't already. Tell us more about your business, and definitely you're more than welcome to post a link to your shop or to your social media profiles. Also, feel free to just chit-chat amongst yourself in the chat box, okay? That's what it's there for. The second box that you're seeing to the right is the question box. So if you have any specific questions that you would like me to answer in the Q&A session at the end, please put your question in this box. If you put your question in the chat box on the left, it's very possible that your question will get buried from all of the other chat messages and I might miss your question. So use the actual question box. It's just my way of organizing all of your questions so that I don't miss them at the end, okay? And lastly, if you see someone in the chat box who is having trouble with hearing the audio or seeing the slides, but you're not having any problems, so you know it works, please help me out, do me a favor, and let them know that all they need to do is refresh the page and also ask them to check that they have their volume turned on and turned up. Those two things normally do the trick for getting everything working. All right, so let's get started. So this workshop is perfect for you if you haven't yet started an email list. So maybe you don't know what it is, or you've heard people talking about it and you feel you need to get one set up. Or if you're not sure how to grow your list, so like maybe you've been stuck at the same 37 subscribers for the last year and you can't seem to get more people to join your email list. We'll talk through some strategies you can implement today after this workshop to start getting more subscribers. And maybe you've already got an email list, but you're not sure how to make money or encourage people to buy using your list. That's the whole point of having an email list. It's a really great way to market your business. So if you're not making money from your list, then something needs to change. And did you know that the size of your email list has a correlation with your sales? So as your email list grows, you can anticipate that your sales are going to grow too. So it's very important as a form of marketing that a lot of makers kind of sweep under the rug. So we're going to change that today. So here's our official agenda. This is what we'll be covering in this workshop. First, we'll get everyone on the same page and talk about why email marketing is so important for us shop owners. And I just think that if you don't know why it's important, it's not likely you'll take it seriously or prioritize it. So I want to make sure we are aware of the why behind email marketing and how it can impact your small business. Next, we're going to talk about how to go about collecting email subscribers, which will be primarily through an email service provider, which we'll talk about next because there are so many services that you could sign up for, and it's easy to get set up with the wrong service, and it can be a huge headache to move over to a new service. I'm telling you, I've done it 2 or 3 times, or maybe 4 times myself. So I want to help you make the right decision for all of us handmade business owners. So once you've got your email list set up, I want to show you a few strategies for how you can quickly grow your email list and have a constant stream of new subscribers in your list every day. Then I'll talk about the 4 email systems you types of systems you can use. So I'll be mentioning a few more to give you ideas and hopefully inspire you for how powerful email marketing can really be. And the beautiful part that I really love is that it's all who are new here and you don't know who I am. Welcome, my name is May, like the month, and I help makers, artists, and designers make a consistent income with their business so they can spend more time with their family and do more of what they love. I'm also a handmade business owner at Tiny Hands, where I design super cute scented food jewelry. So you can be rest assured that I have the experience of running my own handmade business, and I still do. I still run this business to this day. And I've been on that same path that you probably want to be on, and I've done virtually every form of marketing that you can probably think of. So I've been there and I've done that. And I want to show you how you can do the same for your business too. So some of the really cool achievements that I've got under my Tiny Hands belt are I've worked with over 100 wholesale stores, so I know a thing or two about selling wholesale. I've been featured on Parks and Recreation, In Touch Magazine, The Chew, Girls Life Magazine, and just a whole lot more of other places. And if you're not familiar with me, I'm kind of known for teaching PR and publicity and for helping you get your products featured by the media. It is my all-time top favorite marketing strategy of all time. I also have tens of thousands of social media fans, so I definitely know my social media game. But you might be thinking, what does that all boil down to, right? It's all just numbers. Because all of that doesn't mean a thing if it doesn't translate into sales, right? Well, I do have 6-figure sales years, and I also run a small team of production and shipping assistants who help me ship orders and make jewelry. So you probably found me through Creative Hive Co., which is where I consult and teach makers and other creative folks on how to build their businesses. And I've worked with thousands of makers, and the ones that follow through, honestly, on the advice that I give them are having really amazing results. And it is such a fulfilling feeling for me personally to see my clients be so successful. So why is email marketing so important for your handmade business? So let's walk through 5 reasons why. The first thing is I want you to think about social media, right? You know how social media can just change overnight and suddenly your fans don't see your posts anymore. In a way, while you may have like 327 social media followers, you don't have any surefire way of getting your shop in front of those people. And you could lose your fans and the ability to reach out to them. basically you have very little control over your social media reach, or at least it feels that way, right? Your social media profiles could be shut down over like without any notice, which I really hope doesn't happen to you, but it is something that can happen. And all the years you spend on building your social media following will be just gone, just like that. But when it comes to an email list, you own your email list. No one can take that away from you. So in the worst case scenario, if the email service you're using shuts down, you can just take your email list elsewhere. It's easy, and it's such a valuable asset. It's something you own and get to keep. The second thing is if you want to go where your people are already at. So you want to place your business in front of people in places that they're already hanging out. They're always checking. Not everyone has an Instagram account. Not everyone who has Facebook knows how to use it right or checks it every day. I know I check it like at least 20 times a day, but there are people out there that don't check it every day. But email is still the main way to communicate online. People read email, period. An email list is also a really great way for your business to reach your biggest fans, because the people who signed up for your list are people who specifically raised their hand and said, hey, I like your business, I like your products, I want to learn more, I want to keep in touch, and I want to be notified when you have a discount or a new product. These people are primed to be paying customers. So email is a great opportunity for you to communicate with your biggest fans who are the most likely to buy. You could also say that you potentially have a better chance of reaching more people with your email list, because there's so much competition on social media, right? Like every shop out there has Instagram and Facebook. And algorithms on those platforms prevent your post from being seen by all of your fans anyway. And honestly, I can reach more people via my email list, which is actually a smaller audience. I've got like 5,600 people on the Tiny Hands list than I can on social media with my larger following. So you don't need to have a lot of subscribers to make a big impact on your business. And going along on that same thought, you also have a higher conversion rate when it comes to email. And as a conservative benchmark, email lists can typically convert around 1 to 5% into sales. Obviously, that depends on a bunch of different things. But that means that if you have 100 email subscribers, at least 1 to 5 of them will buy something from you. But if you've got 100 Facebook fans, though, tough chance. It's hard to make sales from only 100 Facebook fans. So how do you collect email addresses? The first thing you're going to need is an email service provider, or an ESP for short. You need to sign up with a service where you can store all of your email addresses and do the actual email marketing. And there are a lot of options to choose from, so I'll talk about what's the best for us handmade business owners. You can also collect email subscribers at craft shows. What I like to do is print out like a regular printing size sheet of paper and put it on your booth so people can write their name and email addresses. And when you go home after the show, you can enter all of those email addresses manually into your email service provider. Giveaways are also a great way to quickly build up your email list of people who are interested in your products. And you know how when you do giveaways, there are like the different things you need to do, like my Facebook page, or like a post, or leave a comment. And doing these different things give you different entry points, right? You could make it so that people who sign up for your list also get additional entry points. Or if you position it in such a way where you say, the winners will be announced by email, so make sure you enter your email address. And everyone's going to want to do that, right? Because if they win, they're going to want to know. The way you would do this is once you're done with the giveaway, you can upload a CSV spreadsheet file into your email service provider. Or if you're using a really fancy giveaway app, then sometimes you get the integration and it automatically adds every giveaway participant automatically to your email list. You could even do a giveaway at a craft show to encourage more people to sign up and to get them coming back to your booth. So say like 15 minutes before the show's over, you could do a random drawing and the winner can walk away with their prize on that same day. Social media is also a great place to collect email subscribers. You may have heard me say this before, but making sales online or offline for that matter is a lot like dating, right? You take things one step at a time. The sale doesn't happen right away, like how you wouldn't ask, or how it's just, you don't ask a total stranger to marry you. It just I don't know if that ever happens unless you're a Russian bride or something. But you have to nudge people slowly over time so they know you, so they like you and trust you. They need to do all of those 3 things before they buy from you. So you need to keep building your relationship with your customers and keep showing your brand or shop in front of them. Keep showing it to them. So social media is one place where your fans are already interacting with you, right? But asking for their email address is taking that relationship one step further. It's kind of like asking the guy that you like at work for his phone number so that you can ask him out on a date, you know? And on social media, one really effective way to collect signups is with using a landing page, which we will talk about in a little bit. Your website will probably be your #1 driver of email subscribers because that's probably where you're sending all your traffic to anyway, right? This is one of the many drawbacks of having an Etsy shop. Honestly, it's really hard to do email marketing effectively on just Etsy alone. You really need a standalone site where you can place your sign-up forms in as many places as possible to quickly grow your list. And by the way, if you don't know what a sign-up form is, it's just HTML code that is given to you by your email service provider. And all you need to do, you don't need to know how to code HTML. All you need to do is know how to copy and paste that code and put it on your site. Or you can use third-party services to create sign-up forms for you that are more powerful and that are more targeted and are prettier to look at. And the reason I bring up third-party services that make sign-up forms is because most of the time your USP won't have the most gorgeous or efficient sign-up forms for you to use. So it's likely you might want to sign up for another service like this. So an example of this is Privy, where you can check it out, privy.com, Privy. And that is something I used to use and a lot of my clients do use. So I want you to think of your sign-up form as a car. It's like a vehicle that brings people from point A, which is your website, to point B, which is your email service provider, where then you do all of your email marketing, like sending out emails and setting up autoresponders. So say, for example, a lot of you guys know what MailChimp is, right? So Privy is the car that brings your subscribers over to MailChimp. So now that we're talking about using your site to collect email subscribers, here's a list of all the different places you could put your sign-up form. Pop-ups are really, really effective for getting your site traffic to sign up to your email list. And I know a lot of people, when they think of sign-up forms, have a generally icky or negative impression of them, so they don't want to use them. But here's the thing. Pop-up forms are only bad if you show them at inappropriate times. This could be like if someone landed on your website for the first time ever, they're a total stranger, and say it takes like 5 seconds for your site to load. And then on the 6th second, which is like 1 second after your site loads, they're shown a pop-up right away. This is bad timing because you haven't even given your person a chance to look around and browse your site yet. She may not even know what it is you're selling. So pop-ups can be really great and not slimy if you do it right. And you know what? I don't know about you, but when I go to a site that has a pop-up, I have an agenda already. It doesn't bother me. So if I clicked a link somewhere to look for something and I landed on someone's website, say it was target.com or whatever, if I get a pop-up right away, I'm just going to close it and continue browsing their site because I have a mission. I want it to go to Target to look for something. So it's no big deal. You're not going to piss anyone off, okay? They convert so well, so I highly recommend you using pop-ups at some point or another. Landing pages also work extremely well, arguably as well as pop-ups, if not sometimes even better. But what's a landing page? So this is a page that is just a blank page with just your sign-up form on this page. You don't have your shop navigation links, you don't have social media links or buttons, you generally don't have links going elsewhere but to sign up. And you're basically taking up all the distractions and preventing someone from clicking away from your page. And the purpose for this is to get someone to take that one singular action of signing up, or their other choices to close the page altogether. And I know it sounds kind of scary because you're essentially kind of creating this dead end for people, right? Sign up or leave my site. Those are basically the options you're giving them. But think about it. When people click on your link to go to a landing page, they should already know what they're getting into before they even click. So if you go to my Instagram account, it's Tiny Hands Jewelry, you will see that in my bio, I say, click this link to get a $5 gift card off your next order. And then there's the link in my bio. People clicking the link are already expecting to get a $5 gift card, so it's no surprise to them. And when someone signs up, then what happens is they get sent an email with their $5 off coupon and a link back to shop on my site. Here are a few more examples. You could have a slide-in box, which is kind of like a pop-up, but a bit less intrusive. It's just a box that kind of slowly slides onto the page from the bottom right or left corner, and it only shows when the person has scrolled down your page at a certain level. So it won't show up right away, but as they're scrolling down, it'll kind of pop up after, say you scroll down to like 75% of your page. Sticky headers or footers are also a great way to collect emails, and this is usually a thin bar that's on the very top or bottom of your website. And whenever you scroll down or up on the page, it kind of just sticks there and it just follows you around. So it's a very prominent location, and you are for sure going to get a lot of people seeing that. Now, if you have the option for this, you also want to enable collecting emails when someone makes an order. And there are also exit intent pop-ups, which only appears when you're moving your mouse to click out of the site. So you haven't exited the site yet, but it appears that you're going to. So there's coding like JavaScript that can tell if you plan to X out of your page. And it's really cool. And I use this on my cart page to show people a free shipping coupon code to encourage them to stay on and follow through with making their purchase. And it's not hard for you to set up at all if you sign up with the right service. You can also put your sign up form on your about page or after your blog posts, if you blog, that is, and also on your sidebar if your theme or website layout has a sidebar. Generally speaking, the more sign up forms you place around your site, obviously the more signups you're going to get. So make it easy for people to see your forms. So let's talk about how to do email marketing for shop owners. Now, email marketing, when it comes to shop owners, ultimately, we are e-commerce businesses. So we need to follow strategies that work for e-commerce businesses. There's also email marketing for service or information-based businesses, which is very different from e-commerce. So the way that I would use email marketing for Creative Hive, as an example, versus Tiny Hands would actually be very different. So the first most common question you're probably thinking is, how often should I email my list? Well, you could be sending them emails every week or every 2 weeks or every month. And any less than that is just way too infrequent, and you need to send emails more often. Otherwise, people are just going to forget about who you are. Because just imagine sending an email once every 3 months. People may not remember signing up for your email list, but if they get an email from you like 3 months later, they're going to unsubscribe because they're going to be like, who are you? Why are you emailing me? I didn't give you permission. And it's only because they've forgotten who you are. The beauty of email marketing is that you can schedule all of your emails ahead of time. So you could create an email content calendar that matches up with your product launches or special seasons throughout the year. But when it comes to what to actually send your email list, there are 2 different kinds of emails that I want you to be aware of. The first is called an autoresponder, and the other is a regular broadcast or email blast. An autoresponder is one email or a series of several emails that go out on autopilot. So if someone signs up to your list in January, for example, and if someone else signs up to your list in April, they both get the same emails in your autoresponder. So it's irregardless of when someone signs up. But an email blast is a one-time email you send to people who are already on your list. So if you send an email blast today, people who sign up to your list tomorrow won't see that email. And the types of content you can send could be helpful tips regarding your products. So if you make, say, fragrance oils for aromatherapy, then you can teach people what fragrance will help de-stress or help you sleep better, or whatever. Or you could send out entertaining emails. So like if your shop is all about animals and you paint and draw animals, and then you get them printed as prints, or you get them printed on products like cell phone cases or t-shirts, then you could send out a list of 3 to 5 of like the cutest or funniest email videos this week. People love being entertained. You can also use your email list to send out an announcement for new designs you've got coming out, or if you have a special sale or promotion. And here's how not to do email marketing. Now, I've been in the e-commerce space a long time, and I don't know if you remember this. I know this still happens from time to time, and people still make this mistake. But newsletter-style emails are way too cluttered and confusing, and they don't work anymore. I'm talking about the kinds of emails that have like a sidebar on them, and there are like 4 different columns for 4 different things that you're announcing. You've got a product update here, and you've got a new blog post there, and you've got a coupon code that you want to offer, and you're telling them to join you on Instagram. You've got a giveaway. That's all too much stuff. Keep it simple. People are too ADD these days to keep up. So ideally, you want to have just one call to action with each email. That usually means having just one plain and simple idea in each email. So one idea per email, one call to action per email. Writing emails is actually really easy, but I think so many of us avoid doing email marketing because we think it'll be a lot of work to do, kind of like blogging. But it's not like that, and it doesn't have to be like that. And if you want to do email marketing effectively, keep it simple. Emails also shouldn't be written like a diary where you're just talking about yourself and your shop all the time. No one is going to care until you talk about stuff that they care about. And I'm not saying that to hurt you or to insult you in any way. That is just the reality of it. Because ultimately, you're sending out emails to people who are almost like strangers. So unless they're your friends and family, they're not going to care about anything you say if all you're saying is like, me, 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 right? They're not going to care. Another reason I think people shy away from doing email marketing is because it's easy to stress over thinking that you have to write an email like once a week to your list. If all the emails you send are broadcast emails, then yes, it does get hard to keep up with your email schedule. But what I'm about to teach you is how you can use an autoresponder email systems to automatically send emails over time. Personally, for Tiny Hands, I hardly send broadcast emails anymore because people who sign up to my list get a series of emails that are automated, and those emails last a few weeks at least. So if I never send an email broadcast in a month, that's fine because people are still getting my emails. So let's talk about what to look out for your email service provider. Now, I mentioned before that most of us here are probably 99% e-commerce business owners. So unless you sell information or services, then you probably fall under the e-commerce umbrella. And I'm going to say the same thing here. What you should be looking for in your email service provider for an e-commerce business like yours and mine is very different than the features that you would look for if you were a service or information-based business. The number one feature you need to look for is the ability for the email service to connect with your shop for e-commerce data, which is information like a customer's order history. So you know how much money they've spent at your shop, you know if they're a repeat customer or not, you know when was the last time they placed an order, and so on. You also want an ESP that comes with autoresponders or automation features. Most do, but not all of them are free to use. And now, if you're just starting out, you're most likely going to want to use a service that's free to use. So that's going to be a big part of the puzzle of our criteria here for what to look for. You also want an ESP that makes it really easy for you to create and set up sign-up forms. And just taking this a step further, but you also want an ESP that can segment or separate your different email lists so you can track your progress or marketing efforts, so you can send out different types of emails to different people. For example, you might have a list for just Instagram followers, and you might have another list for a giveaway you recently did. You want to be sending them different emails and different autoresponders, so you need the ability to set up different lists or at least to be able to segment or separate them. First, we'll talk about which email service not to use. These two I have listed here are really common ones, but they're just not a good fit for e-commerce. The first one is ConvertKit, and I really insist for you to steer clear from ConvertKit because it wasn't built for e-commerce or shop owners. It was built for bloggers or for service-based businesses. And I wanted to mention this here because I know ConvertKit has really taken off lately, and if you're in any sort of Facebook group or if you do a search online, virtually everyone's talking about ConvertKit. It's the new kid on the block. It's easy to think that this is the only solution or the best solution for you because everyone's using it. And I used to use ConvertKit for Creative Hive and it was great, but I would just never use it for Tiny Hands because it lacks a lot of features you need when it comes to marketing an e-commerce shop. The second one here is just like ConvertKit. Everyone talks about it, everyone recommends it, and I did too at some point, but it hasn't kept up with some of the really cool email services that are newer and work better. MailChimp was the very first email service I used, but I stopped using it in like 2013 or 2014 because there were just better options out there. The first drawback is if you want to use their automation feature, it costs an extra $15 if you're coming from the free plan. Also, I've tested MailChimp with Shopify, and while they do have e-commerce integration together, it's super buggy and it doesn't send you accurate data. So I have no confidence at all in using MailChimp to send out targeted emails to my customers or to my prospects. And now there are just better alternatives than MailChimp. So it's hard for me to recommend this over the others that I'll be talking about. So what are your options then? Because it sounds like I pretty much just scratched off all the major services that you know, right? So the first option I have for you is called MailerLite. This is actually very similar to MailChimp, and a lot of my clients are using MailerLite now and have moved over from MailChimp for several reasons. The first is that MailerLite is free to use with your first 1,000 subscribers, which could keep you going for a pretty long time. And eventually, when you grow your list to a larger size, at that point, you would already be making a consistent income with it. So paying a bit of money for an upgraded service should not be a problem for you at all. Of course, that's, assuming that you are doing email marketing the right way. So like not letting your list get cold and keeping in touch with your subscribers on a consistent basis and sending out targeted emails at appropriate times. And the number one reason MailerLite wins over MailChimp is because they include the autoresponder or automation features for free. Whereas if you went with MailChimp, you'd have to pay an additional $15 for this feature. And because I live my life, or at least I strive to, using the 80-20 rule as much as possible, I'm all about spending the time upfront to create systems that scale and work automatically for you. So I highly, highly recommend using autoresponders in your email strategy. It is a non-negotiable, okay? I mentioned a lot of my clients use MailerLite, and you know what? They've all also said that it's actually easier to use than MailChimp, and that's what I love about MailerLite. It's simple to use, yet it includes everything you need and not anything extra that might be overwhelming or confusing to you. So now, if you noticed, MailerLite does not have e-commerce integration, which means you won't know if a subscriber has made a purchase with you, and that's important information to have because it allows you to track your marketing and be able to tell if what you're doing is working or not. And it also helps you send targeted emails to people based on their purchasing behavior. So this is definitely a more premium feature, and there are services out there that could charge you hundreds of dollars for something like this. Two that I can name at the top of my head are Klaviyo and Remarkety. And this is something that the big small business owners use, like small business owners that are really successful. They use services that have e-commerce functionality. But there's an option for you at a really low cost, and it's called Rare, and you can find them at rare.io. Now, Rare isn't totally new, but they've recently introduced some really new features that really make this the end-all be-all email service provider for e-commerce businesses. And their support is amazing. Their support staff get back to you in like less than 15 minutes. It's crazy. I don't know how they do it, but obviously for us, that's super helpful, right? And Rare starts at only $9, which is actually a really amazing price for what you get. And I'm not an affiliate, but I just want you to know and to use and get the best stuff that's going to help your business really soar. So let's talk about how to grow your list. Let's assume at this point you've signed up for MailerLite or Rare and you've got your email sign-up form ready to go. Now, at the risk of sounding totally like Captain Obvious, I'm going to say it anyway. But you want to put your email sign-up form everywhere. Just putting it at the bottom of your footer isn't doing you any favors because people aren't going to see that. In fact, people aren't seeing everything that you see. So if you've placed your sign-up form in, say, like 10 different spots on your site, people are probably only going to see like 2 or 3 of those forms. They're just not paying attention to that kind of stuff like you are because you're the business owner, right? You put them there. You know where they are. So don't hold back. But this is what I see happen so often. It's kind of like you're shy to talk about your email list and you're kind of like hiding it. No, this is a chance for your potential customer to learn more about you and your business. Because joining an email list does not have to be a sleazy or slimy thing. People gladly give you their email address because they know they get something out of it. And if they no longer see a benefit to being on your list, then that's their choice, right? And they can easily unsubscribe. And if they don't want to hear about your business anymore, then they just weren't ever meant to be a customer. They're not your ideal person, so just let them go. You're better off, okay? So don't be shy about sharing your sign up form in as many places as possible. Seriously, guys, I put up 5 new sign up forms about a month or 2 ago in different blog posts that I have on Creative Hive, and I literally doubled my sign up conversion rate. And now I get like 50 to 70 email subscribers every day organically on autopilot. And all it took was like 4 hours of upfront work. So don't underestimate this. You also want to make it easy for people to sign up. This is another obvious one, but I'm saying it because making a small tweak to your sign up form can double or triple your conversion rate. It doesn't have to be a big change. Just a small tweak is sometimes all it takes. So imagine a sign up form that only asks for your email address. That's the bare minimum, right? There's no friction. There's hardly any barriers. But the more stuff that you start to ask your subscriber to fill in, the less likely they're going to sign up. So at the most, ask for a first name in addition to an email address. But skip asking for a last name, and anything more than that will just cause people to gloss over your form and not sign up. But if you want the best conversion rates, just ask for their email address. Obviously, the one drawback to that is you can't address people by their first name when you're doing your email marketing. So it's kind of weighing your pros and cons there. But beyond the sign up form, you want to be sure you make it easy for people to confirm their subscription. So say, for example, if after someone enters their information and you show them a CAPTCHA form and you ask them if they're a robot, and then after that they get an email that they have to click a link in it to confirm their subscription, that's just way too many hoops that you're making them jump through. So what I want you to do is pretend that you're a customer, and I want you to test your own sign-up forms and the process for getting signed up as if you were a total stranger, and see what the experience is like. If there are a lot of friction points or barriers, you're going to get far fewer signups. So remove all of those barriers for them. You also want to offer an incentive. Now, just a quick word on this. Some people can think of this as a bribe, and I don't want you to think of it as a bribe. Why? Because a bribe sends a negative message that you're kind of forcing people to sign up, or like you're doing something sleazy or slimy. You know, a lot of the times our impression of something in our heads can change, like someone just flipped a switch. If all you do is just pivot your frame of mind on something. So bribes are sleazy, right? So don't think of it as a bribe. Think of it as an exchange of value. Just like how when you get an order, someone pays you money for a product that they will get. No one's getting away with anything here, and you don't owe anyone anything. It's just an exchange of value. That's the same thing for growing your list. Offer something of value in exchange for someone's email address. If you choose not to offer anything at all, which that's fine, it's your prerogative, I can guarantee you will get very few email subscribers. So, what kinds of things can you offer as an incentive to get people signed up? You can't offer a puppy. I wish you could, but isn't this guy so cute? So now remember, you are an e-commerce business, so your options for what you can offer are pretty limited. But if it makes sense for you, a guide or PDF or email course could be a great incentive. So going back to our example earlier, if you sell like handmade aromatherapy oils or soaps or bath and body products where you can actually teach your customers about how to care for their skin or for their health better, this is something that could work for you. Likewise, a quiz could be totally fun. And I'm talking about like short personality quizzes, like which Harry Potter character are you? You know, people love taking quizzes. They're silly, but people just love them. But again, this is probably not something that will work for most of us, but you might be able to see how this fits in with your business. So the easiest incentive that works for all businesses is a discount off. We've seen this all before, sign up and get 10% off your next order. This can be very effective. But here's the thing though, you want to make your discount attractive. So 10% doesn't really make people jump out of their seats anymore because all the shops are offering 10% off. So I want you to at least offer 15% off if you decide to do this. Now, if that doesn't make sense for you, like if you sell a $1,000 art doll, then 15% might actually be really expensive for you. Then consider doing free shipping or a free gift. So free shipping, it's actually been proven that free shipping does just as well, if not better than a discount code. Because more and more people are doing more of their shopping online, but there are still barriers to making sales online because you can't feel or touch the products. And shipping costs can be really high depending on where you're shopping. So free shipping is just one other great way to help lower that barrier for your customers. And free gifts too. I see someone in the chat box here is offering free digital art prints. So that's a great incentive that you could offer. You could also do a giveaway where your participants get added to your email list and the winner is announced over email. You could do this on a recurring basis, like once a month, and your subscribers win a random product every month, or you can choose a specific product to feature, or you could do this just as a one-time giveaway with like a really, really great prize. Now, I want to talk about 4 different email systems or autoresponders that you can set up. And each one has a slightly different purpose, but overall, they all help your business in one way or another. The first email system is what I call the Welcome Series autoresponder. And the goal with this system is to get your potential customers to know you, like you, and trust you, so they're much more likely to buy. Ultimately, our goal here with this system is to turn fans into buyers. So here's a breakdown of what this looks like. The first email is where you're just thanking people for joining your email list and you're telling them what they can expect in the next few days or weeks in terms of what emails they'll be getting from you. What this does is it opens what's called an information gap. So people are kind of like sitting on the edge of their seats, anticipating hearing from you again. So another example of an information gap is if any of you watch any TV shows like The Walking Dead or House of Cards, there's an information gap that happens at the end of every episode where it's like a cliffhanger ultimately, right? The second email here is where you build on your know and like factor. The goal in this email is to introduce yourself to your subscriber so they know who you are, and you can tell them a few quirky things about you or your business or why you started your business. The general goal here is you want them to relate to you so they start to like you. In the third email, you're going to be building credibility and trust. So share any testimonials you have, feedback, or places or media mentions that you've been featured in. People need to feel like they can trust you before they buy from you. Next, this email is optional, but I like to do it anyway to get my fans engaged with me and my brand in more places than one. So I tell my subscriber about coming onto Facebook or Instagram and following me on there. Email 5 is where you ask for the sale. What I like to do is surprise people with a really juicy, big discount, like 20% off, but I make it available only for the next 24 to 48 hours. And I get so many sales automatically just from this system because it really works. But we're not done yet. There's still one last email. And this is where I remind people who haven't used their discount code that they still have a chance to use it. So like 12 or 24 hours later, this email goes out to a segment of my list, which is specifically people who did not use the coupon code. People need little nudges and a sense of urgency to take action. So this email, although it's really simple, can really help drive sales. Here's my second email system that I love using, and it's way simpler than the email system from before. So instead of 6 separate emails, this one is just one email. I call this the personal hello email, and the goal with this email is to continue building that relationship between you and your new customer. So I send this out about 24 hours after someone has placed an order with me. But it's also useful to hear how your customer found your shop. So this is a really great information to have because then you'll know what marketing you're doing that's generating you sales. Like, I get so many people responding to this email telling me that they found me on Instagram or Facebook, and then I know that my Instagram and Facebook is working, so I'll keep pushing it really hard. So generally just keep doing what works, right? That's one of my, I have a lot of different mantras, but that's one of my mantras. Keep doing what works. So this email is special because it's just one email, and I don't use any fancy layouts with this email. It's just plain text. It's left aligned. I don't put any pictures in it, and I don't use any special font or different font sizes. And the reason I do this is because it makes the email appear more personal, as if I had actually taken the time to send it manually to my customer. And you cannot believe how many replies back I get from this simple email. People love it, and they feel like I'm giving them personal attention. Plus, I get to find out how they found out about my business. And it also builds that relationship, so they're more likely to turn into a repeat customer. This next email system is another simple email that you can set up to send to your customers after their order has arrived, and you're asking them if everything arrived okay and if they like their order. The goal with this is to reinforce a positive impression for your brand so you can turn a one-time customer into a repeat customer. But this is also a great time to ask for feedback because, people just got their purchase. They're so really super excited about it. And you're giving them a chance to tell you how much they loved your product. Or, on the flip side, if something went wrong, you can take care of it right away instead of just letting your customer kind of be quiet and never tell you about it, which happens a lot more than you think because you don't hear about it, right? If there are a lot of people who are unhappy with buying something but just never say anything about it, and then you just are not given the opportunity to fix what probably you could have fixed. So in e-commerce, there's something really interesting that happens here. If you have an upset customer and you handle their case or situation really well, and you make them really happy through your really great customer service, that same customer is much more likely to be a more loyal customer to you than just someone who was just happy to begin with. Isn't that funny? The fourth email system here is another really, really good one. It's called an abandoned cart series. So a huge challenge that online shops have is when people change their mind halfway with making their order. So they add items to their cart, but they never actually complete their purchase. And there can be a lot of reasons for this. Like maybe they got sticker shock when they saw your shipping prices. Or maybe they just got distracted, like they needed to pick their kids up from school and they were in a hurry to get out of the house. Or their boss wanted to talk to them and they were making an order while they were working, Or maybe they got a phone call. Any small distraction like that is enough to cause someone to drop out and not finish placing their order. So the goal with this email system is to help you recover those abandoned carts and make those sales that you could have just lost. There are usually 3 emails that work in this series, and the first 2 are basically the same thing but in different messaging. But basically, remind people what's in their cart and that it's still there for them if they decide to go back and finish their order. So for the first email, you could say something like, "Are you still shopping? You've left items in your cart." And the second email reminder can say, "Don't miss out. The items in your cart are one of a kind, or they sell it really quickly," or whatever, you can come up with something there. In the third email, you can use this to offer people a free shipping or discount code just to get them over the fence, if they're on the fence with buying your product. But you don't have to give a discount code if you don't want to, but a great alternative is for you to say, "Hey, so I saw you didn't make your purchase. Was there something wrong with my site, or were you having trouble checking out? I appreciate any feedback so I can fix any problems that might have come up." So that's a really classy way for you to remind them yet one more time without sounding like you're just out there to get their money. So there are a ton of other email systems and autoresponders you can implement for your business. And you can see how with all the different types of email systems you have, you don't even have to send out a ton of one-time broadcast emails, considering how many automated emails get sent out on their own. But just in case you want some more ideas for more systems you can use when it comes to email marketing, here are just a few more. The fifth system here is my giveaway funnel that I use to turn a giveaway into actual sales. And I teach you how to do this in my course that I'm about to tell you more about. You can also use your email service to implement a customer loyalty system where you're rewarding your customers when they've hit certain thresholds, kind of like a point system. You can also do a customer win-back system where you're getting customers who haven't purchased from you in like the last X number of months, or 3 to 6 months, to get them to come back and buy from you again. And the last one I have on here is a receipt system that gets sent out to people right after they place an order, and it includes a coupon code that people can use within the next 14 days, or however many days you think it'll take people to receive their first order. So it's kind of like upselling them. And people who've already spent money on your shop, regardless if it's $1 or $100, those people are much more likely to buy from you again. So this is a great and really easy way to get repeat sales. So I'm not sure why you're here, but you probably work really hard with your marketing. And I know how frustrating it can be to not see any sales coming in from all that time that you spend and pour into promoting your work. You might have a hard time getting traffic to your shop. So in case you didn't know, the standard benchmark for an e-commerce conversion rate is 1%, which means that for every 100 people that you have coming to your site every day, you'll have one customer, just one. And I know tons of makers who have like less than 5 people coming to their site a day. So I know that's a huge struggle for a lot of people, just getting traffic to your shop. And having the clarity for what your next step should be and the confidence in your products and business are really important things to have that I know a lot of makers struggle with too. Because if you've never run a successful handmade business before, you have no idea what to do next or what strategy or plan you should have, this is new territory for you. So of course you're going to feel lost and overwhelmed, right? And that confidence, if you haven't made a whole lot of sales, of course you're not going to feel confident about what you have to offer, right? Because you haven't yet gotten that feedback from people about your work. You're probably also here because you want to start making more sales. Ultimately, I think that's a common goal that we all share, right? But regardless of the reason that you're here, I want you to know that you can absolutely do this. You can start, build, and grow your business into a consistent income. And you don't need to be a professional internet marketer or have a degree in marketing, because I have none of those things. You don't need to waste months and years figuring all of this business building stuff out on your own. It's definitely very possible to run a profitable, sustainable business that you actually enjoy running without breaking the bank or slaving away years of your life going through trial and error, just trying to figure out how to make it work. And it's actually really simple to do when you have someone showing you exactly what to do, how to do it, and in what order to do everything. I've perfected the strategy to get my own business there, and I really want to show you how you can do it too for your own business. So you can try to do it all yourself using trial and error and what took me 10 years to figure out, or you can get my direct support and do this all in the right way and without wasting time or energy on stuff that just doesn't work or just doesn't matter. So I want to introduce you to my new signature program called the Sale a Day Business System for a really amazing price. This course is designed to give you literally everything you need to build your business to a consistent income, starting with your first $1,000 a month and even more than that if you want to earn more from your business. If that sounds interesting to you, let me tell you more about the course, and if not, just hold on tight. We're going to get to the Q&A session soon. So the A Sale a Day business system is designed to be a complete blueprint or map that you can follow for building your handmade business from scratch. Every month for 12 months, you'll get a series of videos, transcriptions, and audio training teaching you exactly step by step what you need to be doing in that month. I'll show you what you get in each month after this, okay? So a lot of courses out there tell you what you need to do, but don't teach you how to do it, like which button to click and what colors to use for your site and so on, things like that. And I know so many makers struggle with the technical stuff, which makes me really sad. So I want to help break down as many of those tech barriers as possible so it's super easy for you to do what you do best, which is making your products and to actually start making sales from them. This program is for anyone who's not already making a consistent income or who's not yet making $1,000 a month online. So as an example, you might do really well at craft shows locally or selling wholesale, but you want to pivot and do more online sales. Or say you've got an Etsy shop that you kind of want to move away from, but if you've been struggling to get traffic and sales to your online shop, this is a great program for you. I want to be clear, this is not about building an Etsy shop. There are a ton of courses like that, and you're obviously welcome to take them if that's what you're looking for. Don't get me wrong, I love Etsy, and I make several sales on it every week without doing anything. But setting up your shop on Etsy isn't long-term thinking. They can make changes overnight to their search engines or their shop layout, or they can introduce new features like, the biggest thing that they allowed recently was the mass manufacturing, which I know a lot of people are really upset over. And a lot of people who've been on Etsy making sales in the last few years are struggling to get any sales for months now since all of the new changes. Like views have dropped, sales have dropped. Bottom line is you have no control over your Etsy shop. And you know how when someone buys something from Etsy, they don't actually say, oh, I got this from Tiny Hands. They'll just say, I got this from Etsy. And that's not doing my brand any favors. It's not going to do your brand any favors. But this happens all the time. And that is not long-term business building. This course is also designed for success, not speed. And that's why it takes 12 months. There are a lot of courses out there that run for like 4 to 6 weeks. But why is it that so many makers still struggle with their business? Because it doesn't work. Building a business doesn't take just 4 to 6 weeks, guys. If it was that easy, if it was that short and that quick, I think a lot more of us would be successful and there would be a lot more small businesses online. But it takes time and careful thought to think about your products, to think about what your brand is going to be, to think about your prices and your marketing strategy and your ideal customer, and so on. So here's what we'll cover in the first 6 months. In month 1, we'll go through product and business idea creation or refinement. In month 2, production and photography. Month 3, pricing. And then branding and packaging. And then we'll actually set up your shop. And in month 6, we're going to learn how to do email marketing. And if you're, at the end of this workshop, you're like wondering what to write as your subject lines for your emails or what to write in the emails themselves, or if you're wondering what your emails should look like and exactly when to send them and how to get all of this stuff set up, I'm going to be giving you word-for-word scripts and lots of examples and walkthrough trainings. So you're going to get that all in this course. In month 7, we'll work through SEO and blogging. In month 8, Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. In month 10, we'll do one of my favorite things of all time, influencer marketing, pitching to magazines, and blogger outreach. And in month 11, we'll start selling wholesale. And in month 12, scaling up for massive growth. So this is where you're making $1,000 a month at this point. How do you scale it up to $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month? I want to share with you a few testimonials from students I've taught and clients that I've mentored. So here's Rana, who met her goal of getting 80 email subscribers to her email list and sent out her first newsletter in just 1 month. And she got 2 sales from that. And here's Molly, who found the confidence and learned exactly how to pitch her jewelry to really big national magazines and actually got a chance to send her jewelry to Elle Fanning for a photo shoot. And for those of you guys who don't know who Elle Fanning is, her sister is the more famous one, Dakota Fanning. And we've got Julie here, who I actually collaborated with and made a line of honeycomb necklaces for her bee shop. And she followed my advice on Instagram and grew her following from 290 followers to 369 just over a few days. I know it was less than a week, but I think it was maybe 2 or 3, 4 days maybe. And because of her working with an influencer, she says here, sales started flowing again after a dry June to July. And Kenneth here quadrupled her Instagram following She made her first sale from there and says she used to think marketing was a chore and she felt inauthentic, but now she enjoys doing marketing and she's really starting to see the reward of it by finding and by actually interacting with her true fans. Here's another client feedback from Serena Giudoni of Mondo Inundito, where she makes these really beautiful polymer clay doll charms. And she says, I can honestly admit working with you has been by far the very best decision I have made. You've completely changed my point of view about my business. When I raised my prices, I thought nobody would purchase from me ever again. I mean, we all have that fear, right? Or at least she would see a decrease in sales. Well, I'm amazed and surprised to see that what was happening was the total opposite. On May 2015, I had 8,000 Instagram followers. Now I have 33,000 people that strongly support me. My sales have increased so much, and I have understood the value of my work. You are the person that made this possible. And here we've got Sumo Bonnets that was started by Bethany Gardner in March. And we started working together only 4 months ago. And based on what I taught her and my marketing recommendations, last month, Bethany got a 100% pitch to feature success rate. So what this means is what happened was she found 5 influencers. She pitched her product to all of them. And all 5 of those same people featured her business for free in exchange for just product. And before that, Bethany didn't even think to pitch her products. She didn't even know how to find influencers or what to say in her emails. So I helped her find those influencers and I taught her what to write in her email pitches. And you know what? The best thing here is that those features resulted in 30 sales for the month, which when you do the math, averages to a sale a day. And ultimately, when it comes to her sales, Bethany tripled her sales. So that was pretty cool. So let's not forget about the bonuses. And this is where I think a lot of other courses fail to deliver. They might give you great training materials, but they leave you to figure it out all on your own. And honestly, my biggest struggle when I was growing my business, Tiny Hands, was learning how to apply everything that I was learning to my own unique business. And I wish so many times that I had access to the teacher to ask questions. But that's a really rare thing to have unless you're ready to spend like $2,000 to $5,000 on a private coaching program or something, you know? So here's the extra goodies that you're going to get for signing up for this course. Once you're done watching or reading or listening to the training, then once every week, you get a chance to chat with me directly about your business every single week. So we've got 3 different formats here. We'll have 1 live group coaching call a month. These usually run between 60 to 90 minutes, and my current consulting rate is $250 an hour. So this group call alone is worth at least $250 per month, and you get 1 of these each month. We'll also have 2 live text chats, which is more low-key than the group coaching call, and because we don't get to talk back and forth like we do in an actual phone call, like with the group coaching call, but you still get direct access to me and we'll still talk through any questions that you have. So this is worth $89 per chat session. And again, you get 2 of these a month. You also get access to 1 guest expert masterclass per month where you get to pick another expert's brain. And I pay all of my guest experts to come and teach you what they're really awesome at doing. So this in itself is worth at least $150 per masterclass. And you get instant access to 8 of these masterclasses right away after you sign up for this course. So some of the guest experts, just to name a few that we've had, are Lisa Congdon, who is an artist and illustrator, and she talks on how to be a working artist. I think a lot of you are probably familiar with who she is. We've also had Sarah Villeri, who is a brick and mortar store owner, where we talked about selling wholesale. That was probably one of my most favorite masterclasses ever, because even though I've sold a lot of wholesale, I still learned a ton of new stuff from Sarah. And I also have a friend of mine, Bridget Salvin Burnt, who runs a really cute online gift shop and who has over, wait for it guys, she has over 1.6 million Pinterest followers. So we talked about Pinterest. And I also brought on my friend Peggy Lee, who's gotten her work on all major television shows like Scandal and Once Upon a Time and Bones and a whole lot more. So you get access to these people every month. People who are really successful doing what they do, but who are also artists and makers. And you get to ask them questions directly if you show up live. You also get access to an exclusive and private community of makers that you get to be a part of. So you can post your questions when you're up at like 2 a.m. in the morning because you can't stop thinking about your business and you can't sleep. I know being a maker running your own business can feel really lonely. And in fact, in my first year of going full time with Tiny Hands, I was surrounded by four walls for like 10 hours straight. I had no one to talk to. And because I wasn't born here, I didn't have any friends or family around me. I didn't have coworkers. And I swear I almost went nuts. Like I was a different person than I am today. And honestly, sometimes your husband or your family members or your friends don't understand or respect what you're trying to do with your small business. Sometimes they just don't get it. And not having that support from them can add so much strain and pressure on you. So, having this online community to talk to other people on the same boat as you, other people who are committed and being serious with their businesses, people who get what you're feeling and know what you're going through, is priceless. Now, I get asked this a lot, but people want to know what apps and software I use and where I get my packaging and my labels and stickers and business cards printed, or who I use for graphic design or virtual assistants or developers for my site. Now, I honestly don't know the value of something like this because I don't sell this or make this information public, but I know I've spent thousands of dollars and years testing out different software and apps and hiring help to finally come to a list of people and software I love using to help with my business. Some of these will help you make sales directly, while some will just make it really easy for you to run your business, saving you time. So you can decide for yourself what that's worth to you, to just have access to my top go-to list so you don't have to waste your time or money figuring out what to use or who to hire. And finally, I know a lot of you guys are on Instagram using it to market your business, right? Well, the really good news is if you sign up for the A Sale a Day business system, you get instant access to my Instagram course, the 7-Day Instagram Challenge. So many of my students got huge results from this course, from quadrupling their Instagram following to making sales directly from Instagram and getting their first wholesale order. It's just amazing. And it's so short and it's simple. I mean, it only takes 7 days for you to finish the course, but it's super impactful and it's very effective. And I normally sell this course for $197. To make this a no-brainer for you, here is my promise. I have a 30-day money-back guarantee from when the class starts on October 3rd. So if for whatever reason you decide you want out of the program, no problem. I'll send you a refund and you can cancel at any time. So you're not locked into the 12 months. So just as a heads up though, when you cancel, you won't obviously get access to the remaining training. So normally if you want to work with me, my one-on-one coaching starts at $250 an hour. And if you looked for other business programs out there that are this comprehensive, none of them are going to be catered for handmade business owners anyway. Plus, they're all going to cost like $1,000 to $2,000. But because my goal is to help you make as many makers as possible, I really want this to be accessible to you. So my really awesome deal for you today is you can register for the A Sale a Day business system and all of the bonuses for only $49 a month. That, when you break it down, is only $1.63 per day, which I know is something that you can absolutely put aside every day to save and pay for the course. Like if you need to bring out a jar or a little piggy bank and put $1.63 in it because it's going to be worth it. That you should see a green button below this video for you to buy the course, so be sure to sign up if you're interested. You probably have a few questions right now like, will this work for me? Absolutely. I think the core reason that so many makers struggle with their handmade business is they have no clear path forward. It's not that you don't have the information, you just don't know what to do. You don't have a step-by-step system showing you what to do, how to do it, and what step to take next. So this course is going to help take away all of the overwhelm and shine the light forward for you. And you might also be asking, will I have the time or the money? And that's another perk with this program taking 12 months. Because I know so many people drop out of their business or they put it on the back burner when life gets in the way. A family member might get sick, or you might be in the middle of a move, or your kids need your attention. There's always something coming up. And because this course takes things 1 month at a time, it gives you a lot of time to keep up. And honestly, $49 a month, or $1.63 a day for all you're getting, is an incredible price. I know this is all worth at least twice the price, and it will eventually get to that point. So at this point, you have two choices. You can either take what you learned today and figure the rest out on your own, or you can get the exact step-by-step blueprint system with today's deal that will save you time, money, stress, and feeling totally overwhelmed. So that wraps up the content part of this workshop. So let's get into some questions. I hope you guys have been using the chat box, but if not, I see that Brittany is in there helping you guys out. So give me a second to stop sharing my screen. Back. All right. So I know some of you guys probably have a lot of email marketing questions. Just put them in the chat box. Brittany will take them, but I would prefer if you put them in the question box. All right. I have got my first question here from Shannon, and she asks, how do you entice people to sign up? Netherlands list that shows when you are crazy busy. Normally, I don't say anything, but I put my sign-up sheet in front of my booth, kind of at a prominent space that people can see right next to all of my products. And if you want, you can make a cute little sign that says like, there's a giveaway at the end of the day, or that sign up for the email list. And what I used to do actually, because I was interested to start teaching how to make polymer clay charms here locally in Minneapolis, I actually said that sign up to receive notification if you're interested to learn how to make this stuff, or if you just want updates on like new designs or promotions or sales that are coming up. And not saying anything, like in a good show, I could get like 20 to 30 email subscribers just like that, and me not actually having to say anything. And I didn't even have a sign. I just had a sheet of paper on there with a pen. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. So we've got a question from Suba. She says, does Shopify give options for setting up the various ways to display the sign-up forms, or do I need to figure it out myself? So Shopify doesn't directly give it out to you, but if you sign up for a service that I mentioned earlier, like privy.com, there's another one called Just Uno, JUSTUNO.com. That's also a sign-up form builder, but it connects with your Shopify and it integrates with like MailChimp and all the other sorts of email services. But I think probably what you should do is just sign up for a service like that to help you make sign-up forms. Shopify doesn't do that for you out of the box. Privy is free to use. Just Uno is actually pretty expensive, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it until you've started making that consistent income. All right, we've got a question here. It looks like a good one from Armina. What do you think about storytelling versus like writing like a diary? For instance, if you give a brief story behind how you came up with a new product, say it was inspired by recent travel. Yeah, I think you raise a good point here. People love when you tell stories. And when I say earlier, I mentioned, right, like don't write your blog or don't write an email like it was a diary. What I mean is that don't start including information or topics that have no relevance or that have no interest to your customer. So what I ate today and what I did at the grocery store and this farmer's market. But if you had a short story on like you said, with a new product design that was inspired by your recent travels to Greece or something, that's something that you can tell people. And I would encourage you to tell people because that's how they're going to relate to you. So there is a fine line. It's a gray area between kind of just gushing out all of your feelings and thoughts onto the email versus storytelling in a succinct and simple and sweet and effective way. Ari has a question. Is there a best time of day or best time of week to send an email? This just depends on your audience. I can tell you what works for me, but that doesn't necessarily work for you. But just to give you an idea, my audience does not like opening emails over the weekend, so I just avoid doing that. On the flip side, all the other business owners out there know that weekends are the worst time to send emails because no one's at their computer. People are spending time with their family. They're going out to town to go to a park or have a picnic or whatever. They're not at home, right? They're not checking emails. You could argue that that is the best time to send out emails because that means you have far less competition and you're the only person sending out an email to your customer. So that might be a good thing, or it might be a bad thing. I don't generally like to send out emails on Mondays or Fridays. Mondays because, again, there's a lot of competition. Everyone else is sending out emails on Mondays. And I don't like sending emails on Fridays because for a lot of people, they're already thinking about, like, it's the weekend. So they're not in the zone for thinking about opening emails and stuff. So I think generally speaking, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays are good times. Best time of the day, it depends again. Like for Creative Hive, I normally send out emails in the morning, early afternoon. For Tiny Hands, about 12 to 3 p.m., but it just really depends on your audience. So what I recommend for you to do is start sending out a bunch of different emails. Maybe you can use social media as a way to analyze when your fans are most online. So like on Facebook or Instagram, you know, they've got their analytics now. And you can make a good guess, right, for when most of your people are online, and then start sending out emails during those times. And once you've got some data in, you know, whatever email service you're using, then you can make a better call on when is the best time to send, when is the best day to send. But it's going to be different for everyone. So unfortunately, there's no like one size fits all. Deanna asks, what's your opinion about using a welcome mat type of sign up, for example, SumoMe? So I know what you're talking about, and I should have included that actually in the presentation. So thank you for mentioning that. For those of you guys who are not familiar with what a welcome mat is, it's, I guess, kind of like a landing page, but say you land on my Tiny Hands site and you're seeing my site, but like in 2 seconds later, this like a huge screen drops down and it covers everything up, and it's got a sign up form on there. And you can sign up or you can say no thanks to go back to the site. And honestly, if you think pop-ups are invasive, I feel welcome mats are even more invasive. I know they can be very effective if done correctly. And so one way that I've seen before in other people's shops where it's done not the right way, where it's done incorrectly, is I can go to your shop today and I'll see the welcome mat. If I come back to your shop tomorrow and if I said no to signing up, or if I had already signed up yesterday, ideally you should not show me the welcome mat again. And I believe when it comes to those welcome mats, there might be a setting that you can set up or configure to say, don't show the welcome mat to people who have already seen it. So do it right. I think it can be very effective because it's kind of in the middle of a pop-up and a landing page, right? But make sure it's not annoying people, because I've had that happen to a client's website before where I'm like, I go to another page on her shop and this welcome mat came down at me again, and I go to another page and the welcome mat just, it was annoying. And that's, you don't want that to happen. Mary's got a question here. Can you speak to which of the email service options you mentioned have the option to have the pop-up come up a bit of a delay than right off the bat? I have MailChimp now, and the max time you can set the pop-up email sign-up form for on your site is 5 seconds, and that seems too soon. Mary, I totally agree, and that's something that when I've worked on some of my clients' websites, like just kind of helping them put the pieces together, that's the problem with MailChimp, is that you can't set it to anything longer than that, and it's a big no. So what I recommend for you to use if you are on MailChimp and you don't want to move anywhere else, or even if you are on other email service providers, check out privy.com, privy.com. It's free to use. I believe they do integrate with MailChimp. It's and they've got pop-ups where you can set it to only show after like X amount of seconds, and you have a lot more control there. So check that out. Yeah, right. So just to confirm, it's not so much the email service that does this, but more of the third-party service that I kind of mentioned really briefly earlier about how there are services that all they do is just help you create sign-up forms that are effective, that are beautiful, and that are targeted, and that come up at the right time. So Privy, for example, where I just mentioned, right, they don't do email marketing. All they do is just sign-up forms, but they connect with MailChimp or MailerLite or some of the bigger email services to to help you collect email subscribers. Charlotte says, I'm a little late to the party. Can I watch this later? Yes, you definitely can. There will be a replay that will be sent out to you, and you can watch this for 72 hours after. So Saturday, noon Central Time is when the replay will come down. So just make sure you watch this then or before then. Emily here asks, I just made an account with MailerLite, and one of the 2 steps to get approved is to verify an email associated with your domain, which I do not have. Do I need to purchase an additional email to be able to use this newsletter service? Emily, great question. Okay, so basically what it's saying, for those of you guys who are not on the same page, to use MailerLite, you need to have your own custom branded email address. So for example, info@tinyhandsonline.com. So if you have just tinyhandsonline@gmail.com, that's not going to work. And this is something that I'm actually going to be teaching in the Aseo Day business system, because moving forward, regardless of this MailerLite thing or just any time that you're answering customer service emails or doing any marketing, you want to have your own custom branded email address. So no more using Gmail, no more using AT&T.net or Hotmail or what MSN.com or whatever else is out there. It's just not as professional as you could be if you have your own custom branded email address. So I use Gmail, which if you want to use that, it is $5 a month. Occasionally, if say you bought your domain name from GoDaddy, they also give you the service to have your own custom branded email address for a small fee. It's probably also $5 a month. But in the course, I'm going to teach you how you can set up your own email address for free and how you can connect it still to your Gmail account. So you don't have to log into like a separate email inbox. You can continue logging into Gmail, but you would have that custom branded domain name. So Emily, in your case, it could be like emily@emilycromwellillustration.com. Yeah. Armina says, I'm already using MailChimp. What's the easiest service to transfer my current list over? I have personally not used any services. I've just always done it myself. And like, to give you an idea, I went from MailChimp to Aweber, Aweber to ConvertKit, and then Aweber to Campaign Monitor. And I used Remarkety, and I'm using ActiveCamp. I've used so many email list services. So I've tried a lot of them out. And every time I've moved them, I've just done the transfer myself. If you've got a small list and not a whole lot of sign-up forms around, it's going to be easy. But the first thing I would encourage you to do is sign up for the new service, create your new forms, because the form is going to be integrated to, say, your old forms are integrated to MailChimp, right? So your new forms are going to need to integrate with the new service. So you're going to have new sign-up forms. So the first thing you need to do then, or the second thing after you sign up for the new service, the second thing you need to do is switch out all your sign-up forms. So right away, when people sign up for your sign-up forms, they're going to be put into the new email list. Once that's done, I would recommend that in your old email list, you allow everyone to finish up with all their autoresponder emails if you've got any set up. So say you have a welcome series, right? Like I talked about, there's 6 emails, and let's say it's over the course of a month, and someone just signed up yesterday. I want to give them a chance to finish that email series before I transfer them over. So once everyone is done with their autoresponders with MailChimp, then you would just export your list and then import it into the new service, and then cancel your account. That's it. It does take time, but it's not as hard as it sounds. So Rosa is asking, how do I know how to separate or segment your list? Okay, so the first thing you need to look out for is, do you have the ability to create separate lists? And if you do, which most modern email service providers do, you want to ask them if I am on email list 1 and I'm also on email list 2, and you want to send out a broadcast email to both of these lists, will I get 2 emails? Ideally, you would just send 1 email and there wouldn't be a duplicate, right? So ideally, the email service provider is smart enough to know not to send that same email to the same person if they are on both of your lists. That's something you need to check. Another thing that's important is when you are creating sign-up forms, or when you're integrating with something like Privy, where it helps you create sign-up forms, right? does that integration allow you to create sign-up forms that, where I was talking about the car being the vehicle that bring people, your subscribers, to your email list? Are you able to have separate cars that link to separate email lists? So car A going to email list A, car B going to email list B. Because a lot of services, what they do is, yes, you can have email list A and B, but you can only have one car. And so if you have only one car, there's no way for it to know, should it go to email list A or B or not? So that's another thing you need to check out. Initially, Rare did not have the ability to do this, but their recent update included this option. So that's really, really cool. Let's take a sip of water here. I hope you guys are learning something from this workshop. Please let me know if you are. Even if it's just that you feel more confident about like what to do with email marketing, I think that's a win in itself. So Nina is asking, how do you set the email forms on Facebook and Instagram to invite people to join a newsletter? So with Facebook, it's a little bit easier to do this because you know how you've got the different tabs, like the About tab or Photos tab, Videos tab. You can make your own tab and you can embed the sign-up form using an app that you install on Facebook. And I don't know the exact name for it, but there's an app that allows you to kind of connect into your Facebook and you embed the code onto the app and then it will show onto your Facebook page. Now, there are some email list or email service providers that allow or that have direct integration with Facebook. And in that case, you don't need a separate app to do that. Now, when it comes to Instagram, that becomes a little trickier because you've only got that one link in your bio, right? And that's where I would use a landing page. So what I recommend for you to do is go to my Tiny Hands Jewelry Instagram. My handle is @tinyhandsjewelry, and click on the link in the bio and see what happens there. That is ultimately how you can collect email subscribers from Instagram. After offering a discount for finishing a purchase, does this encourage customers to repeat this behavior again in hopes of getting another discount? Okay, so this question is by Deanna. And I see what you're saying because I think, we're worried that you don't want to train people to always be expecting a discount, right? And this is the same when it comes to giveaways. You don't want to encourage people to think that you're only always giving away products, so they're not ever going to buy anything for free. I think there's a sweet spot that you can do this. If you offer people a discount for finishing a purchase, I have two thoughts with that. If you're offering people a 10% off, but it means getting the sale, wouldn't you rather do that than to lose the sale completely? And my second thought to it is, as I mentioned earlier, there is a sweet spot to it. You don't have to offer that discount all the time. If your technical setup is set up correctly, you can make it so that this person can only use that discount one time. So the next time they see it, they try to use it, they can't use it. But that's the thing I think generally when it comes to coupon codes, discounts, and giveaways. If you do it often enough, yes, you are going to train people to learn to expect that and to wait for it because they know it's coming up. But if you do it infrequently enough and as like little surprises here and there when they don't expect it coming up, then that's when it can really be effective. So Veronica here says, what if my clients aren't on my email list? Should I just add them to a separate list anyway, or do they have to subscribe on their own? So I want to clarify that it is not against the law for you to add people to your email list. It is bad form. It is probably not very ethical because you obviously want their permission if you want to do email marketing the right way. But what is illegal is to not give people the option to unsubscribe on every email. I just want to put that out there to clarify. If your clients aren't on your email list, my first question for you is, how did you get those clients? And when they made a purchase from you, do you have anything in your terms of service that says that if people have made a purchase, that they are giving you permission for you to contact them on future promotions or information about your businesses? So for example, on my Shopify checkout, I have got a little box that says sign up for the email list, and it's automatically by default selected. So if you unselect it, then you don't get put to the email list. And that's kind of I would definitely not recommend for you to email those people. If you really want to convert some of those clients into your email list, what you could do is just send them a regular email, like just BCC everyone, not actually going to your email list, but actually going to Gmail and then just including all their email address as a black carbon copy BCC, and just tell them about what you're doing and what they can expect and why they should care to be on your email list. Like maybe you've got something really juicy coming up that they want to be a part of, and encourage them that way. So you can tell them, if you're interested in this, then click this link and you can sign up here. But it's just a one-time email, and it's just you BCCing people. Kayla asks, how or what do you use to make discount and coupon codes? So because I use Shopify, all of my coupon codes are created in there. If you've got an Etsy shop, you can make your coupon codes in there as well. And if you have if you're on any e-commerce platform that is worth its salt, you should have the ability to make your own coupon codes. All right, got a lot of questions here. Paula says, hi, mate. As usual, your workshops are packed with awesome information. Yay, I'm so glad to hear that. So thank you so much for your time. You're most welcome. I'm glad you're here. So Paula has 2 questions. 1, my target market is divided between English and Spanish speakers. So which language do you suggest I start my email marketing? Ooh, that's a tough one. Do you know how big a split that is? Is there a, do you know if like there's one more dominant speaker than the other, or do you have more English speakers than Spanish speakers? If it's kind of 50-50, I've seen what people do that you could do too is have 2 separate versions. Kind of the top version is English, bottom version is Spanish. And that can work for you. Yeah, I think that's the best thing I have for you. Otherwise, I want to see if, like, do a lot of Spanish speakers also know English, or do a lot of English speakers also know Spanish? And I guess we need a little bit more data on your audience to see. I mean, so like if you use MailChimp or any other email service provider, they normally will tell you where your email subscribers are coming from. So maybe you can go in there and check to see like how much exactly are people who are coming from Spanish speaking countries versus who know how to speak English. And then you can make a better idea for how to do that. Because what you could do, now I'm thinking about this and I've got some ideas. So what you could do is once you have that data and you can segregate those people, that's where email segmenting becomes really helpful. You can put Spanish speakers on one email list and English speakers on another email list. And then you would just send them the same email, but in a different language. Yeah, so I think that's actually a pretty good workaround for doing that. Paula says her second question is, how do you suggest to collect emails from Etsy? I've seen something about adding your sign up link on the about page. Is there something else? Yeah, so put it on your about page, put it on your notification, put a landing page link on there. Not notification, announcements. What you could do also that I know has been effective for a lot of people is when you make a sale, send them an email or SC conversation, and send them like a canned message, like a copy and paste message to say like, thank you so much for your order. If you would love like maybe a 10% coupon off your next purchase, you can sign up for my newsletter here. And that can actually convert into new subscribers and actually new sales. So that's something I recommend for you to do. But otherwise, in terms of just like for your overall traffic, put your sign up form as many, or the link in as many places as you can, right? You could put it in each product listing if you want, put it on your about section, put it in your announcement. There are a lot of like the different sections at the bottom now, so put it in there too, where it makes sense. Margaret says, can you recommend an email service provider in England? Honestly, Margaret, the ones that I recommended today, MailerLite or Rare, should work for you even though you're in England. It shouldn't matter where you are in the world. You should still be able to use what I recommended today. Hey, Catherine, you just made it. Hi, welcome. We're just going through Q&A here. Okay, so Shelly had the same question. Is it possible to collect subscribers for my email list from Etsy or only from my own website? So hopefully when I was answering Paula's question earlier, that answered your question. I currently sell mostly on Etsy, but have a standalone site on WordPress. Is it easy to connect an email service with your website? I haven't really marketed my standalone site yet and need to figure that out. April, it is so easy. So, I was talking about like using third-party services that create sign-up forms for you. You don't even have to go that far because MailChimp or MailerLite or Rare, they all come inbuilt with their own sign-up forms. You just copy and paste that HTML and put it on your WordPress site. You can put it on your sidebar or on the footer or as a pop-up or whatever. It's really easy to do. Especially if you're familiar with WordPress, you should have widgets that you can use. And these are like little blocks around your side, like on your sidebar. You can copy and paste the code in there and the sign-up form will show up. The problem that or not the problem, but the challenge that I see you facing though is because if you're not getting a lot of traffic to your site, you're not going to get a lot of subscribers through your site with your sign-up form that way. So you really have to start sending traffic. You need traffic to get subscribers. Teresa has a question. Will we be able to connect to social media accounts for signing up to capture email address? I'm not sure if I understand it. Let me say that again. Will we be able to connect to social media accounts for signing up to capture email address? Teresa, I'm not sure if I understand what your question is. And if you're still there watching, can you just resubmit your question and maybe just clarify a little bit? I don't want to give you a bad answer, so I don't want to assume what you're asking, but just ask your question again, okay? So Suba asks, when is the next time the A Sale a Day business system will be offered? It will be offered all the time, but I cannot guarantee you that the price will stay at $49 a month. Class is starting on October 3rd, but if you join later, that's totally fine too. But just so you know, that price thing is kind of an early bird offer that I'm doing it since it is a new course. And then she asks, also, how will I benefit from it as I already have an online store? I mean, how will the blueprint from scratch, setting up shop parts, work for people who are already in the market but struggling? Do we have to start from scratch if we take this course? That is a great question, Suba. So here is what I have learned with working with so many makers in the handmade market. So many people have websites. So many people have social media platforms. So it's not about just having it. Just having a website doesn't necessarily mean that your website is set up correctly. So, and the reason this isn't just a course on like marketing, and the reason marketing is on like the later part of the course is because I want to set us all up with a strong foundation. If I start teaching you how to do all this marketing stuff from the beginning and did not address any of the foundational stuff, you could have bad photos. You could have a bad website that is preventing people from checking out. You could have branding that's not very cohesive or that is not very attractive. Your products may not be up to par yet, so maybe you need to work on refining your product. Your ideal customer, maybe you just don't know who she is. So much of the problems with when I mentor other makers, they already have a shop, they already have social media profiles, but they're doing everything backwards. And a big reason for that is because the foundation isn't set up correctly. And that's why marketing becomes so hard. And that's why you're struggling. And that's why you're not making any sales, because the foundation is shaky. So that's why this course is 12 months. And that's why the very first thing we talk about is, do you have a good product idea? Do you have a good business idea? Do you know who your ideal customers are? Because once you can figure all of that stuff out, making sales, doing marketing is going to be so much easier. It's going to be a breeze for you. I hope that answers your question about the course. Thank you for asking that. Taryn says, do you have to do all the months or can you pick and choose? Unfortunately, there is no a la carte option to pick and choose just yet. Maybe in the future, I might make that available as an option. But for right now, as I mentioned to Suba's question, I want to be sure that everyone is starting off on the same strong foundational ground before they move on to doing Pinterest or Facebook or wholesale or anything like that. Because I bet you're probably interested in doing the marketing stuff, right? But I just want to be sure that you have a strong foundation before you do the marketing stuff. Otherwise, it's going to feel like you're swimming against the stream and it's going to feel really hard. Deanna says, is this course suitable for supply sellers too? Yes. If you are a supply seller, you're selling like patterns or say felt cloth or fabric or buttons or resin or whatever, you are still an e-commerce business. And I do still believe that this will work for you. Generally speaking, if you are someone who makes your own products, either a handmade product, or if you sell a physical anything, regardless of if you made it or not. So I know a big question I get asked a lot is like, if say you're a graphic designer and you get your art or your patterns printed on like a mug or like a print or a t-shirt, does that still work with this course? And it absolutely still does. Where it does become a little bit gray area is if say you are just a graphic designer and you want to promote your services as a graphic designer. This course will not work so well for you in that case. Oh, Ari is asking, how do you get the someone from so-and-so just purchased the blah, blah, blah necklace to pop up on your website? Oh, I'm glad you asked that. So that is a Shopify add-on that I use. I believe I got in on the early bird pricing and it was like $5 a month. But it's really great for social proof and it's called Yo Notifications. Let me double check that for you just to be sure I'm giving you the right information there. Yo Notification, YO. Yep. So this displays recent sales in real time. And what I love about it is it helps give you the sense that this is not an empty shop, that there are people who are buying stuff. So it gives you some credibility and trust and also some social proof. There's an option for you to set it to show a timestamp too. So if you've got a really active shop and you're making sales like every hour, then people can see like, wow, a lot of people are buying stuff from this shop. But you also have the option to turn it off, like what I've done here. Teresa, I see your question here. If we already have products, a website, etc., do you see the need to do the entire course? So I answered this in great detail in a previous question. It depends. Okay, so if you want, send me an email, give me a link to your shop so I can check it out. If you already have like an amazing website, if you've already got a great brand and amazing photos and your product is like irresistible and it's an amazing product, then I would tell you, you probably don't need the full course. But it's hard to tell without seeing your website or your business first. But again, as I mentioned before, just having products, just having a website doesn't necessarily mean that you've got things set up correctly. So Amima here has a question on, she says, I make handmade soaps. My first strategy is to sell wholesale to reputable online shops. How do I accumulate this email list? So starting an email list for wholesale prospects is kind of a little bit of a different strategy there. What you do want to do, I think, okay, so the first thing is to have some sort of a page on your site that's kind of a landing page or a sign up form that says, do you want to learn more about selling wholesale? Or do you want to learn more about selling my products wholesale? And then interested wholesalers or stores can then fill in their information and then get put on an email list. And then maybe an autoresponder for you could be where you're sending out your wholesale catalog or line sheet or price points out to them right away. Another way that I would do this is if you're doing wholesale outreach manually. So like you're reaching out, you're doing the research on your own, you're reaching out to stores online, and you're sending out personal emails to them to say like to introduce yourself, to tell them why your soaps would be a good fit for their store. And if they express any interest, then you can ask them, would you like to be put on the list? And then you put them on if they're interested. So that's how I would go about doing it. But that's actually a great thing that you brought up. You can have a separate email list for just your wholesale buyers if you're doing wholesale like really strong, if you really want to push that. That is a good idea and something I recommend you do. Alina has a great question here. I love this question. Everyone says that you have to start building your list ASAP, but what if your own website is still in progress and you don't have a landing page yet? How to start list in this case and how the emails may look. Okay, so this is where I would say that you need to start building your list as soon as possible. I agree with that. You don't even have to have a product or a shop set up yet or a website. All you need is an idea. So if you're already out there doing social media, if you're doing like guest posting or you're getting featured in the media or on someone's blog, what you could do is just direct people to a landing page, and the landing page can say, would you like to be notified when we launch our new website? We will have a launch party, and maybe you can include some cool or fun activities with that launch party. So that gives people a great reason to sign up, because if they like what they see, if they like what you say, ultimately, I think with you, because I know what products you make, right? I think what could help is if this landing page shows pictures of your products so people know what they're signing up for, like what your products are all about. So if you already got Instagram and just funnel people over to this landing page, if you don't have a website, if you actually have a website, if it's WordPress or Shopify, you can set up like a landing page super easily. If you don't have a domain name though, there are services out there that can help you make landing pages. Obviously the domain name will be like something like xuvj.mailerlite.com. It's not going to be pretty. But yeah, MailerLite actually does landing pages too, and so does Privy. So it's no excuse. But it's such a great strategy to build up a list so that when you do launch your site or your business, you have already those eager buyers who want to hear from you, who want to learn more about your products. So I highly recommend that. In fact, I don't know if you guys are into blogging or not, but a lot of my Creative Hive business revolves around blogging, and a huge blogger, he used to be the copy editor for Copy Hacker, and his name's John Morrow. And so he teaches people how to do guest blogging and how to do blogging. And this is the strategy he recommends: is even if you have no blog set up yet, you should write guest posts for all the other blogs out there, and the link back to your site just leads people to a landing page where then you can tell them, do you want to learn more about how to hand make jewelry, or do you want to learn more about how aromatherapy can help you with your life? Sign up with the form, you'll be notified when we launch. So that can be really, really effective. Leah Allison says, I sell over $1,000 per month on Etsy, but only about $500 per month on Shopify. Will this course be good for me, or would you have an advanced program that would be better for me? My Shopify store is plumbee.com. All right, just give me a second to check this out real quick. Oh, cute site. So my first question for you, oh, I see your pop-up here and it's coming up too soon. All right, so hopefully you can get that sorted out, because the moment I landed on your site, I just scrolled down a little bit and it already asked me to subscribe to the newsletter to get 15% off. I just got to your website, so you probably want to change that. But to answer your question, my question for you first is, do you want to get away from Etsy, or do you see a future for yourself on Etsy? Because this course isn't about selling on Etsy. It's about growing your Shopify store. So if it's a part of your goal to grow that $500 a month on Shopify to something more than that, then yes, potentially this could work. Because the thing with Etsy is that you can make sales from it without doing marketing like social media or having an email list or doing PR, because it has that inbuilt search function. And that's nice. But in a way, what happens if things change? You're relying so much on the search engine within Etsy that you just don't have control of the traffic that's coming to your shop, you know? So I feel like it's kind of scary to just be on Etsy. And I know so many people who are successful on Etsy who have like 10 Facebook followers. So when you start your own site, it gets to be really hard. So what I'm going to do is check out your social media profiles to see like how well you're doing over there. And that's kind of the only other way that I can tell if this will be good for you or not. Okay. Hey, Allison, you know, from what I'm seeing, it looks like you could benefit from joining the Creative Hive Colony instead. And this is a different program, but I will put the link in the chat box. And the Creative Hive Colony is where you and I will get a chance to work together one-on-one every month. It's the same price for right now, but the price will be going up in October when the Sale a Day business launches. But this way, you and I can start talking right away about what you need to do to build and grow your Shopify store and to get your social media doing more work for you, or, you know, getting you more sales and traffic. Because I think you've already got the foundations figured out here. I think at this point it's just a lot more of doing better with the external marketing that you've got set up with, like, you know, the social media, potentially with getting your products featured on other blogs and websites, and then just generally getting more traffic to your store. And, you know, we can talk about Facebook ads too, since you are making some money. I feel a lot more comfortable talking about Facebook ads. So here is the link in the chat box, and you can check that out and see if it's a good fit for you. All right, I know we've got a lot more questions in here, and it looks like far more than I can cover in the next 10 minutes, because in the next 10 minutes, it would have been 2 hours since we've been here on this workshop. So I want to be sure that I let you guys go, because it was really meant to just be 90 minutes, but we're going over time here. I'll get to as many questions as I can, okay? All right. Lillian says, any experiences with asking followers on social media, especially Instagram, to sign up for email lists? Is it an effective way to get people to sign up? Yes, it is. Use a landing page. Check out at Tiny Hands Jewelry to see how I do it. Okay, we're going to be like super quick and chop with the questions now, okay? Charlotte says, we have a 2-person shop on Etsy that is somewhat successful, and from now till December, we will be extremely busy. Can this course be started after the first of the year? Yes, it definitely can. So the course is also self-paced. Just because you sign up for it now, and if you start it in January, that's still totally fine. You know, if you're coming into the group coaching calls or live calls, we can talk about anything at all. You don't have to be like, you know, going along with at the same pace as everyone else. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I can't guarantee you, I haven't made plans for it yet, but I can't guarantee you that in January, if you decide to sign up then, that the price will be the same. Brianna asks, what's a service you can use to make landing pages? Lead Pages is one of them. I know a lot of people use Lead Pages. I personally don't like using it because of the monthly fee and because it's something that I can do on my own for free. So I can help you. In fact, I was considering on including this in the training for In a Sale a Day on how to make your own landing pages for Shopify or WordPress. Because if you go to my Instagram profile at Tiny Hands Jewelry, that is my own landing page that I use on Shopify, and it's all custom coded and it's not very complicated at all. Privy also does landing pages for you, and so does MailerLite now, I think. The only drawback to having a landing page on Privy or MailerLite is that the URL won't be as nice. So if you've got your own website like tinyhandsonline.com, I want to be able to keep people on my site and say like tinyhandsonline.com/landing page. But if you use a landing page service or a sign up form service like Privy or MailerLite and use their own landing page builders, it's going to give you a link that doesn't look very attractive and that's really hard for you to remember, like, you know, a bunch of jumbled letters and words .mailerlite.com or something. So that's the only other drawback I can see with doing that. But check that out, Privy and MailerLite. Check out also Just Uno, just for the heck of it. You might find something useful there. Hmm. Rosa's asking, how do you send the other email systems? Do you do it customer by customer, or is there an automated option? Yeah, so all of these systems I'm talking about, they are all totally automated. Because I think I would die just sending all these emails out one at a time to each customer. And that's not what I would recommend you spending your time doing it all. There are better things you could be doing with your time than doing that. So as much as you can, it's all totally automated. And that's why it's important for you to have an email service that is connected with your e-commerce shop, because then they'll know, oh, so-and-so person just made a purchase. 24 hours from now, send them an email that says, hello, you know? If you don't have that integration, it's going to be really hard for you to automate a lot of these systems. Joanne is planning to donate 1% of sales to an environmental organization. My business, Knit So Green, is a certified green business. I want to educate customers about buying organic. Do you know if this is an incentive to buy? Yes, I believe that with the right audience, if this is something your customers care about, then yes, they will be more attracted to buy from you because you are donating to a charitable organization. I don't know if your question was, is this a good incentive to offer in exchange for someone's email address, though? And if that was your intended question, then it is not so much an incentive for that. But in that case, your sign up incentive could be a coupon code. It could be a PDF on buying organic. It kind of depends on your business. But I think if your question was intended as what I said earlier, hopefully that answers your question. Amina, the organic business is called Knit So Green, and so is SEW, play on words there. Lee Allison, you're most welcome. And I feel kind of bad now for pointing out your pop-up form, so I hope that didn't put you on the spot there or embarrass you. I'm generally more sensitive than that, and I realize I could have probably handled that a little bit better. But yeah, I hope to see you in the colony. But if you have any other questions for me, Lee Allison, please feel free to just send me an email, and I'd be happy to answer you honestly whether or not you would be a good fit for this, based on what your goals are. Because I think ultimately you always have to ask yourself, what are your aspirations? What are your goals for your business? If you have no intention of growing your Shopify store, then this course isn't going to help you. But it depends. Okay, Samaya asks, when sending your welcome email autoresponder series to a new subscriber, should you also send your regular emails like product launches to them as well, or wait until they completed your email series before sending them regular emails? Great question. The ideal way to do it is to wait for them to finish their autoresponders. And then if your email service is fancy enough to be able to segment people automatically, you can segment people based on, are these people safe to email? Being, have they finished autoresponders, or are they currently in an autoresponder? So if your email service can do that, that would be great. And then you'll know to send product launch emails only to a segment of your list of people who have already gone through an autoresponder. Okay, good, Lee Allison. I'm glad I didn't put you on the spot there. I had no intention at all of making that be like a poo-poo party or anything. Okay, Brandy, are there any email marketing options available through Etsy? Can you include a link in your about my shop area that would go to a landing page? Yes, you can do that. I am not ready to branch off from Etsy yet, so I'm not sure if there are other options for me to do email marketing. Yep, that is what I recommend for you to do. And also, every time you get a new customer, a new sale, send them an email or an Etsy conversation to invite them to join your email list. Hyper Jewelry asks, on the topic of writing a story with each email, my jewelry is fantasy jewelry, so I market to book-loving people that love stories anyway. So do you think it still would be a good idea to include a creative writing piece in that email? Yes. I would say that for your business and for your audience who are book lovers and who love stories anyway, that they probably have a greater threshold for how much they read on a daily basis. And I would test to see. I'm not certain. I can't guarantee you. Like, I'm a little bit weary of saying yes, do it. It's a great idea, but I want you to test it. I think it's a good idea to test to see how well your people respond to it. And a way for you to judge or to gauge how well it's doing for you is if in your email service, when you do start sending out those emails that you've included stories or creative writing pieces in them, and if you've got calls to action in them, you can see when people have clicked to them. And a good way to tell if people are not engaged with your emails is if they no longer open your emails because they're bored of them or whatever, or if they're not clicking any of your calls to action back to your site. Because then that's kind of when you know they're not engaged with your emails. So that's when you know something needs to change there. So test it out, see if it works for you or not, but only you can tell if it will work. Megan says, I'm trying to grow my business in more than one way. I am an illustrator and designer and have products with my work, but also want to do just as much work freelancing and creating illustrations for brands, people, and organizations. Since I'm not solely a shop of goods, will this still be a good course for me? Megan, I'm glad you asked that, because you know what? We've got actually a few people in the course already who are just like you, who do have a lot of illustration clients and who do work for like children's books, but who also want to branch off and have an e-commerce shop where they're selling t-shirts and mugs and like jewelry and clothing. So yes, this course is good for you if your intention is to grow your product shop. But if you're thinking like if it's just kind of a side thing, then maybe it's not a good fit for you. But if you want your product or your shop to be successful, then yes, I think this course will work really well for you. Susie, what are the pros and cons of Aweber? Okay, so I was on Aweber a while ago, and I'm not sure if I remember, but the few things that really bugged me, and I think, okay, so the first thing, they don't have e-commerce integration with Shopify, I don't think, at least when I was using it about 2 years ago. And the other really frustrating thing was it was really hard for me to segment people. Like, I want to be able to do some really advanced segmenting here, which I'll teach you how to do all of this in the course. And this might be, like I said, a little bit more advanced, but I want to be able to segment people based on, did you open my last 3 emails? Did you open my emails from since March or not? And I want to be able to segment people based on that. So then I'll send people a different email depending on how engaged they are with my emails. So I believe I was frustrated with that because I thought that was such a simple, basic feature that they didn't have. And at the time, ConvertKit just came out, and I jumped ship and I went on to ConvertKit, and I was on there for about 6 months for Creative Hive before I moved over to Active Campaign, which I love. So, yeah, that's kind of my experience with Aweber. There were some things lacking that I thought was holding me back from making my list help me make sales. Suba says, what's your opinion about Mad Mimi? Personally, I have not used it. I know a lot of people look to it as being an option, kind of like MailChimp. But from what I've seen, nothing beats MailerLite for being free and for giving you the autoresponder feature for free. Yeah, I don't think, because I think Mad Mimi charges a fee. I can't remember, but none of us use Mad Mimi, so I can't say a whole lot about it. MailerLite, Joanne says, MailerLite now integrates with Squarespace for developing websites. Are you familiar with this? Just got an email today about this new feature. I'm not familiar with this. I have never worked with Squarespace before. So I guess I'm not sure what your question is in regards to that, but cool. That's cool. I always love when apps and software start integrating with stuff, because that just makes things easier for you, and it gives you more opportunities to do marketing and make sales. April says, if using email system 1, do you send 1 email per week? I sometimes receive emails that I've subscribed to and receive 3 and 4 emails per week, and I find that annoying. So April, this depends on your audience and what you're selling. When it comes to e-commerce, you don't send emails as often as, say, Creative Hive, where I can sometimes send emails more often. When it comes to e-commerce, I would say once a week is generally good enough. And it again, it's kind of a personal preference thing. It's up to you. If you personally feel like that's annoying, then obviously don't send that many emails out. There is something to benefit from it, though, because can you imagine if someone signed up for your email list and you send them 3 emails in a week? If people unsubscribe, those people aren't ever going to be your customer anyway. And the people that stay on are going to be like your true loyal fans that just want to hear what you have to say every time. So there are pros and cons there. It's not set in stone. But for your case, I think just sending 1 email a week is just fine. T says, May, you are awesome. Oh, thank you. And she says, thank you so much for all your help. This workshop was super helpful. I am really happy to hear that. Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right, we're so close to being done with these questions. I see a lot of you guys are still on here, so I'm going to keep going until we reach the end. Okay, hopefully it won't take more than 10 minutes. Armina says, do you think that these tactics will work with food or pastry products? Are there any brands that you've worked with that are food brands? Armina, I'm a food brand. I mean, I don't make actual food, but everything I talk about is about food. Now, I know I am not familiar with your brand or business, but maybe you're thinking about like shipping actual boxes of cookies or peanut butter to people. And it's not a whole lot different because you're still selling a physical product, and the only difference is there are probably some rules and legalities that you have to make sure that you're set up to, like, do you have a licensed kitchen to be making your products out of, things like that. Do you have certification for like cleanliness rules and things like that? But ultimately, you are still e-commerce. You are still selling a physical product. And if you're curious if the course will work for you, it still will. Teresa says, many Facebook pages have a button that links to the site to sign up for the newsletter. Sorry for the confusion. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this was to your initial question about like social media accounts and sign up links. Right. So you can, I guess I'm still not sure what your question is because this was more of a comment. So if you have a question about that, ask me again. But the sign up link, it depends on what link you're talking about. There is the call to action link. That's the big blue one. And a lot of people have a shop now that links directly to their site. You can also make that a sign up now button that links people to a landing page instead. Or if you're talking about Facebook, where like on the sidebar on the left, where there are all those little tabs or links at the side, it's more likely that you will need a custom app where you can embed the HTML code in there. But yeah, it is possible to do that. Amina says, what is Get the Free 30-Day Email Course, the Epic Day Challenge? Can one sign up for this first without any commitments? So the 30-Day Email Course is kind of a precursor to the Day business system. That's actually how I got the idea for the signature course, was because this free 30-Day Email Course did so well for a lot of people, but it's not very in-depth. But that's a good place to start off if you want to. Obviously, every step is going to be covered in an email. It's not going to be as in-depth, so you are going to have to figure out a lot of things on your own. But it is a good place for you to start off. It's free. The only commitment is an email sign up. See what I did there? Samaya asks, should you use double opt-in for your email list? A lot of subscribers tend to forget to confirm their email address after signing up. This is a never-ending debate in the email marketing world. There are 50% of people who do swear by double opt-in, and there are 50% of people who say don't use it. And for those of you guys who are not familiar, double opt-in is what happens when after someone subscribes to your forum, they get an email that says, hey, we just want to check that it was actually you who entered your email address. And if it was you and you did intend to sign up for this list, click this link to confirm. So that's the double opt-in process. The con with that is it definitely lowers your conversion rate. So if, say, 10 people sign up for your email list, maybe only 5 of them will actually confirm. So even though 10 people signed up, you only got 5. To me, that is a huge That's a pretty huge con in my opinion. On the flip side, a advantage to that is you do end up with a list that is a little bit more engaged, that is a little bit more qualified. Personally, with Tiny Hands and Creative Hive, I've done double opt-in for a long time. And a way that I encourage people to check their email is right after they sign up for the form, there's a thank you page, right? I'll give them instructions, maybe even include a little video that says, here are your next steps. Go check your email right away and click on the form, just kind of walking them through what they need to do next. That is if you do double opt-in. But I think for like the last 1 to 2 years, I've switched to single opt-in, and I haven't seen that as being a problem, and it grows my list a lot faster. So I like that. Anne says, how long will this price be available, or do I have until Friday? I'm not sure how long it's going to be available for. You do have until Friday. I'm not going to change it on you before the course starts in October. So at least for the full of October, it's going to be $49 a month. Okay. Thank you so much for all your tips. They help me so much. I literally get a sale a day when I apply your tips. Oh my God, that's awesome. Thank you for saying that. I mean, obviously I am lost for words, so I appreciate that, and I'm glad it's been helpful for you. Brianna, I want to design and dropship apparel and perhaps other products with Printful. Could the A Sale a Day program work for me? Yes, because you are still selling physical products. You are still selling in e-commerce. You are still an e-commerce business, so this will help you. Catherine, how long in advance should you drum roll about your launch? It kind of depends. There are people who spend a whole year on drum rolling the launch, on building anticipation, on building up an email list before they actually launch. But if it's for like a small launch, like a new collection for your shop, 2 weeks is normally a good time. It depends on how big this launch is, how big you want it to be. It depends on how big the price points are. So if, say, I were to sell a $2,000 course, it would take me months to drum roll the launch for this course. So it depends on a few things there. Veronica says, I'm not sure if I need the whole course or just a one-time consultation. I don't sell much because I just opened the shop. Should I wait, or is my site okay enough and I just need to keep going? My site is twoeasels.com. Oh, hey, Veronica. Yeah, I've been on your shop. So it sounds like you would actually be a good fit for the course. And the only reason I'm saying that is because we do start kind of from the very beginning there. If you say your site's just okay, at the earlier first few months, we are going to talk about like what things you need on your site. How do you make your site layout look better and cleaner, more clean? I already said cleaner, but convert better. I think you are someone who would benefit from the course in its entirety, because we do start you off from scratch, from the fundamentals. So I think you're at a good time or good point to be joining in on this course. But someone like Lee Allison, for example, she's a little bit more advanced because she's already got that consistent income, but she needs to kind of just reposition her shop to scale up. So I would not recommend her to take the course. Nana, what is the best place to build your website? At the moment, I use Ticktail, which is free, but I don't think it has any of these features. Yeah, so this is the thing when it comes to free programs and software. You get what you pay for, a lot of the free stuff don't come with a lot of the cool features, and these features actually really help you make those sales. They're not just there to look pretty or to act cool. Those automation email systems that I talked to you about, that makes money for you. And if you don't have access to those features, you're totally missing out. So paying a small fee to make like 10, 20, 30 times your investment, I think is worth it. But to answer your question, the best place to build your website kind of depends. Are you a blog? If you're a blog, do WordPress. Some people like doing Squarespace. If you are not tech savvy and you don't want to be dabbling with like installing plugins and things like that. But if you're doing e-commerce, like you're actually selling like different product listings, you're selling physical products, then Shopify is a really great place that I would recommend. And I'm actually working with them to get a 10% off discount for any one of you guys who wants to get in on Shopify. Margaret, can you describe landing page? Is this the home page? A landing page can be a lot of different things. It can be your home page. It's basically, in more strict definitions, a landing page is where you are sending your traffic to and the first place that they land on. That's why it's called a landing page. But a home page is generally not a good landing page because there's so much information, right? There's like, if you go to my Tiny Hands website, I've got like a slider going on showing you all the different products I have. I've got like navigation links at the top. I've got my logo here, and I've got footer links at the bottom and social media. That's a lot of distractions. So a landing page, in the definitions of using it for email marketing, is a simple blank page where all it has is just one sign-up form. And a great example is go to my Instagram page, instagram.com/tinyhandsjewelry, and then click on the link in my bio. That's a landing page, but that's also not what I use for my home page. So I hope that helps. Meredith says, what about Constant Contact? I know some people who use Constant Contact. I don't know a whole lot of people who use it for e-commerce. So the people that I do know that use it are using it for service-based businesses or information-based businesses. I haven't used it before, so I can't speak to it a whole lot. I'm checking it real quick to see. Because the number one thing I want to look for, I know for sure they've got autoresponder features because Constant Contact is one of the better ones. But I want to know, do they have e-commerce integration? And right off the bat, I'm not seeing that they do. So probably not something I would recommend if you're doing e-commerce. Catherine says, is one email every 2 weeks enough? It can be. You know, obviously, the more spread out your emails become, the greater the chance that someone's going to forget about you. Or, you know, if I don't know if you guys like notice this about yourselves. Like if you find a product online that you're like, oh my goodness, this is something I've always been looking for, like a dress or whatever, or something from Target, because everyone loves stuff from Target, right? You're really excited about it the first time that, oh gosh, I'm all really blurry. Oh well, hopefully I'll zoom in soon. But you can hear me. When you learn about a product, there is a certain level of excitement. Oh gosh, what's happening here? Oh, there we go. There's a certain level of excitement that you have that starts to diminish over time. So your job is to keep people being excited about your brand and your shop. And if you lose then it does start to get tricky because then your list becomes cold, and it doesn't matter if you've got 10,000 subscribers. If your list is cold and not opening your emails, then you've got something that isn't working for you. But I think generally speaking, 2 weeks is fine. Jenny says, I had to rebrand due to competitors' business casting a bad shadow on your business name. Oh no, I'm so sorry. So they were using a very similar name and getting bad reviews due to their bad service, and I'm down 30,000 in sales this year. Oh no, that's awful. I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, Jenny, so your question is, would your workshop be good for me to regain that business? I would have to look at your website and your rebrand, and I would need to look to see how you're currently doing marketing. So if you're not doing a whole lot of marketing, and like if you don't have a whole lot going on with social media, with your email list, or if you don't know how to get your products featured in blogs or magazines or by influencers, this course will definitely help you. But I think probably what will help me is if you send me an email and just explain to me a little bit more about your business, what you have been doing, what worked, what didn't work, and what you're struggling with. And that will give me a better picture of where you're coming from, so that if I can understand your business better, then I can better able to tell you if this course is good for you or not. Suba says, May, your workshops and webinars are amazing, and today's was super informative. You are amazing. Oh my goodness, thank you. Sorry for the last minute question, but I'm planning to get my Shopify store soon. Do you know when the discount code would be available, as it would be great to have? Oh, it's actually, I just got the coupon code created right now. So I'm going to send you the link to it if I can find it in my email. There it is. Okay, I'm going to send you the link to this here in the chat box. Where did it go? I thought I pasted it. It's shopify.ca/Creative Hive Co. I'm going to put it again because I don't know if it went through. Hey, hey, Nairobi. Really want to watch this later. Busy mommy, can I please replay later? Thank you. Yep, the replay will be sent to you after we're done here. April, you're most welcome. Thank you. I'm glad this was helpful. All right, so let's just wrap up here because we've gone way over time, but we did get to answer all of your questions. So I'm really glad we got to do that. Thank you for your questions. Thanks for making it live. Again, if you want to sign up for the A Sale a Day, it is $49 a month. You get a ton of amazing bonuses. If you want to ramp up your Instagram, you do get the 7-day Instagram challenge right away after you sign up. You do also get access to all of those masterclass replays that I was talking about. I think it's worth a ton for a really low price. So be sure to sign up and save your spot to the course. And I will see you again soon. And if you ever have any questions about what we talked about today or about the course, please feel free to send me an email at may@creativehiveco.com. All right. So I will let you guys go. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you guys in the UK, have a good night. For those of you guys in America, have a good rest of the day. I will talk to you guys again hopefully soon. And yeah, I'll see you guys online. All right. Thanks for coming, guys. Bye.